Hey, this is Russ. This is probably the first video you've seen with the Hero 10 from me. Yes, the GoPro Hero 10. Now, I've already recorded a couple videos beforehand, but you don't get to see any of those because I had issues with the uploads. If you watched any of the videos recently, you might notice that I mentioned that uploading in 4K has been nothing but a problem for me. So as much as I would like to do that, I can't do it. It takes forever for YouTube to do the compression at 4K. Ideally, the best way and the fastest way for me to upload would be for me to upload a 1080p video and let YouTube give me the better compression, but that doesn't happen unless you've got a lot of people watching your videos and you have a huge subscriber count. So we have to live with what we have. So going forward, as long as things work out well, here's how I plan to do it. I'm going to record in 4K 24 frames per second, and then downsize that thing down to 1080p to upload to YouTube. So this will give a faster upload time, a faster processing time on the editing software as well. Now, while it might not be 4K, I think the images will still look a little bit better than we had when we had the Canon camera. The Canon camera was recording in 1080p at 60 frames a second. This time we're going to record at 4K at 24 frames a second. Now the reason for the 24 frame versus the 60, if I did 60 frames a second at 4K, files would be extremely large. So to get the 4K recording, but to minimize the potential issues with file sizes, do 24 frames per second. Now 24 frames per second is not bad. It gives you the film-like quality, the cinematic type qualities. Things along the side tends to blur a little bit faster than if you did 60 frames a second, but hopefully the 4K will make up for that, even downsized. Now, people have mentioned too that if you record in 4K and then downsize that down to 1080p, any noise and things like that that are problems are also downsized. So theoretically, the image still should look better recorded at 4K, downsized to 1080p, rather than recorded at 1080p and then outputted as 1080p, if that makes sense. Now you might notice too that I am trying my best to stop at stop signs. The last recording I made, which you didn't get to see because of all the problems, I mentioned that going forward I'm going to try to remember to hit the stops at the stop signs. Now I may not do a full stop. It may be a rolling stop, like just this last one here. But for me, that's a major stop, okay? As you know, in the past I had not been doing that. But as I thought more about it, my left leg and knee is getting stronger. And the reason I didn't stop in the past was for fear of having to lean my bike to the left, which could make me fall. I mean, I fell twice because of that. So I figure the rolling stop is better than no stop, and it's probably the responsible thing to do. And since people do watch these videos, I don't want people following my lead and blowing off stop signs. So going forward, I'm going to make my effort to stop at the stop signs. Well, best I can. Now if I blow off a couple here and there, it's just force a habit. Okay, it's going to take me a while. So I'm heading back to Bussy Woods. Now I waited a little longer this time. It's 11:43 currently right now. And usually, as you know, I usually go early in the mornings, but it's cold, man. What is this? This is the third day of fall, second or third day of fall. Today is Friday. Yeah, it's getting cold now. So to get a little bit more heat, I'm going to be going later in the days now. The last couple times I was out on the bike, I had to wear a sweatshirt. Yeah, you didn't see that because I didn't show you those videos. But yeah, I had to wear a sweatshirt again. That when I first got this bike, that's how I started out. I wore a sweatshirt, long pants and sweatshirt. That's what I wore the last time I was out on the bike here. But today, weather is currently about 68 right now. It is quite windy, and but I can still wear a short sleeve shirt and a pair of shorts, which is what I'm doing currently. So I have not ridden as much in the last couple of days compared to in the past. You know, I do 18-20 miles a day on average. And I've skipped a couple of days of riding too because of the weather and because of the issues I was having with the uploads and stuff. Yeah, that's about as good as I can do for stops. It's an effort, but it's not a total stop. Okay? Better than nothing from me, believe me. Okay. So this is Palatine Road. We obviously have to stop on this one. This is a major road. I've seen people ride through this with traffic. Now that is risky. I don't do that. That is real risky. So this GoPro Hero 10, I returned to GoPro Hero 9. I don't think you heard that either. I can't remember what I told you and what I didn't because some of the episodes didn't get uploaded to YouTube, and I know I mentioned things. So if you hear this a second time, I apologize for that because I just don't know what I've told you and what I haven't based on the videos that were released. But I returned to Hero 9, waiting for the refund still. They just received it yesterday. I saw on UPS that somebody signed for it. And then I purchased the Hero 10. Now the reason I did this is because I was able to get the Hero 9 to freeze once. And I said, well, I'll take the gamble to see if the Hero 10 won't freeze. And we have early reports on the Hero 10, not necessarily freezing, but having a problem with thermal shutdown. Once it gets too hot, it shuts off. Okay. Same thing happens with the Hero 9, but it also freezes. The 10 doesn't seem to freeze, and I have not been able to get it to do a thermal shutdown. The minute I got the Hero 10, I tested it immediately, put a battery in there, and then I ran it for as long as it'll go, or as long as I can handle it with my battery. And I ran the battery to about 9%, because you don't really ever want to drain a lithium-ion battery. So I ran it to 9%, and it went for 54 minutes at 4K at 24 frames per second. So based on that, I figure if it can do that and not have a thermal shutdown, it should be able to do all the things I needed to do for my bike videos. So the cost difference, if I get the monies back the way I should be getting back, should be about between $50 to $60 more than the Hero 9. And of course, you know, the Hero 9 I bought was only a week before they released the Hero 10. So, you know, why buy that one when you can get the newest and latest and greatest? So that's why we have the Hero 10. Now the sun is not fully 100% overhead. It's still slightly on an angle. I can see it. But we're facing towards the sun a little bit now. Now, the one thing that I had noticed with this new camera is that if you have sun hitting the lens, you get the lens flare, but the lens flare on this one seems to have a purple fringing. And typically we would call that chromatic aberration. I have to wonder if it's a function of the lens or a function of the new lens cover that they have that supposedly repels water. I wonder if you put the old lens screen over it, whether that would get rid of the purple fringing. That I will never know because I don't plan to buy the old lens cover. And they said that it didn't do that on the Hero 9, and based on the lens flares that I saw on my Hero 9, it was not purple. Okay, they call it bluish, but it's bluish purple. In photography, purple fringing usually happens with sun hitting the lens, and then like if you were shooting something like a tree, you would see the edges of the tree branches would look purplish. We call that chromatic aberration. And I believe that's probably what's happening here. Now I decided to go back to Bussy Woods while I can because we did do a video at Bussy Woods with the Hero 9, but I'm curious whether I will be thermally shut down by the time I get there, because we are recording this street scene getting there. That's going to be a certain amount of time. I was debating too, maybe what I would do is when I get to Bussy Woods, I may swap out the batteries. Alright, I stopped and both cars are going. Now I know both of these cars were waiting to see if I was just going to cross through it, because a lot of bikes around here just cross right through them. I never really did that. Whenever I saw cars, I would fully stop. The only time I blasted through stop signs was when I looked around and there's nobody around. I mean, still in a sense, I kind of feel like that's what I should be doing. Alright, I think I should have turned left at that point, but I'll turn here. So now here, the problem with this is I've got to do a signal and hit the brakes, which of course you can't left turn signal and hit the brakes at the same time. So you're gonna have to do a little bit of rolling through that stop sign. I mean, it's just too difficult not to. And there was no cars around. So I kind of feel that if there's no cars around, I made an effort. That's about as good as I'm gonna get. So yeah, you won't see me fully stop at every single stop sign. Some of them I'm just gonna have to blow through. Okay, so here, we hit the stop. There's nobody around. So to fully stop, I think would be kind of ridiculous. That's just me. Hopefully the comments don't come through saying, well, you're wrong. I'm probably wrong. But that's what I'm gonna be doing. So we are on super wide, or whatever they want to call this, extreme wide angle. And again, no cars, but I made the effort. I didn't even do a hand signal, because who are you going to signal to when there's absolutely nobody there? It's just it's a recipe waiting for you to fall, so I'm not going to do that. So now it's a question of signal or stop. And that's a decision the photographer, the rider has to make. Yeah, see, I'm still thinking photography. I taught photography for 8 years, you know. Still in my brain. Yeah, it's quite windy today. And I do feel the wind pushing the bike sideways, that is. Alright, good time to take a swig of water. Well, maybe not. Always have to look for an opportune time. By the way, my water bottle is zip tied. The bottle cage is zip tied to my front basket. I found that actually works well. So if you have a Rad Rover, you have a front basket, yeah, you might want to consider doing that. It's easy to zip tie. Zip ties are your friend. We use a lot of zip ties in biking. Now there's a lot more cars. It's almost noon, so you got people who are probably heading to lunch and things like that. So yeah, definitely more cars than in the early morning. So let me know in the comments how you think the video looks on this video, because we've got a bright sunny day. It's almost 12 noon, so the sun is kind of overhead, and got a different camera. We're shooting in 4K but outputting in 1080p. We're doing 24 frames a second. We've got their hyper smooth on boost, which means it's the best quality image stabilization. And the bit rate is normal bit rate. We are not on high bit rate. I'm trying to save some space too. You know, you do high bit rate, you're gonna have better qualities and stuff. But yeah, it's a larger file size, and it means more processing time and everything. So everything you do to try to make the images better or the videos better, it'll take you longer to do it. So I'm looking for the best compromise. I'll tell you, stopping at every stop sign, it's a lot tougher on me because then you got to start up again. So you will use more battery, you will wear out your brakes more, you will have a little bit more exercise because you got to pedal up. But like I said in the past, what I usually do is I will throttle as I'm moving forward after a stop. Overall, I've gotten pretty used to the bike, and I've gotten used to the path, how to get to places, but I still use the bike map program, the bike map app. Kids are back in school. You can see on our left there's kids playing in the playground. Alright, so when we get to Bussy Woods, I think what I'll do is I'll swap out the battery. I'm going to wait a little bit before I turn it back on because obviously the camera will still be hot at that point. wait a little bit, then turn it back on and record the Busty Wood ride. And of course, these two things we're going to split into two separate things. One video will be the ride here, and then the next day or whenever the next upload will be the actual Busty Woods ride. It's kind of a test, to see what the qualities look like compared to the Hero 9 qualities. I personally think it's going to look exactly the same in terms of quality, but the sun is different, of course. So hopefully we won't have as much lens flare problems. Sometimes early in the morning we get that because we're facing the sun a lot of times. Now most of it's overhead, which by the way is the worst time to take a portrait of somebody, because shadows on their faces look weird. They got bags under their eyes from the shadows and everything. It's not a good time of day for portraiture. But maybe for these videos, it might be better. I don't know. We'll see. So we're doing pedal assist level 3 as I usually do, and our mileage is at 2258 right now. In case you're wondering what the bottom numbers are down here where it says USB, when those numbers kick in, that is the wattage that the battery is having to pump out power for. So it's if you throttle hard, it's going to give you the full 750 watts. Although I've never seen it hit 750. It always says something like 748 or something like that. If you pedal, then the pedal assist level will determine how much wattage actually is outputted. So the higher that number of the pedal assist, the more wattage you're going to be using. So just here, throttling up, you can see I hit 742 just to get past the intersection. That's what's eating your battery. Speaking of batteries, let's talk about the batteries again. And I have the Unit Pack Power 52 volt 20 amp hour batteries. I have two of them. One's on my rack, my rear rack, and one's on the frame of the bicycle in the triangle. They've been doing pretty good. I really can't complain so far. I guess the only thing I could complain, if I had to complain about something, is the battery chargers get really hot. But other than that, it's doing pretty good. Now the reason I'm up on the sidewalk is because there's a sign that suggests that you take the sidewalk on this area. So that's why I do it. Then I'll hit the button so I can get a crosswalk signal. Yeah, I've gotten used to this path. I kind of know where I'm headed, but it doesn't hurt to use the bike map program to kind of jar your memory. And I've noticed too that as I'm riding and talking, a lot of times I will miss my turns because I'm not paying attention to the bike map program. Sometimes I can't hear it because of the wind, so I always have to constantly look down to see how many miles or how many feet is left before the next turn. Now here in Illinois, if you're a bike rider, they recommend you ride on the street, not the sidewalk. But you're going to see that I'm going to take the sidewalk on a couple of areas. Because some of these streets are a little more dangerous. And so being on the sidewalk might be safer. So that's a decision you got to make yourself. I mean, if you follow everything by the letter of the law, you could put yourself in danger. Or you could break the law a little bit, keep yourself safe. That's a tough decision, right? I opt to keep yourself safe. I think I dry out more because I'm talking all the time. Yeah, the wind is blowing on us. It feels good. But yeah, it's windy. Definitely windy. And there's times again where I can't hear myself talking. But it's interesting because you could definitely hear it on the video. You can hear my voice on the video. But yeah, sometimes I can't even hear myself as I'm talking. So I did the hand signal. Couldn't fully stop again. But I made the effort. Some may say the effort's not good enough. No matter what you do, you can't satisfy everybody, right? So I can just do what I can do. Oh, look at these guys. Yeah, it's nice to wave hello to other bike riders. I bet you they went to Bussy. And they're heading back. Because I always see trikes at Bussy. I know one of our loyal viewers from the UK mentioned that we're lucky to have the paths that we do. I agree. Yeah, we are quite lucky. I have 3 paths I can go to relatively easily. That's not that far from where I live, of course. So yeah, I'm very lucky. If I go a little farther, I have another path I can go on. That's the path that we use to get to Botanic Gardens. Yeah, I keep debating whether I'm going to do that path again because it takes a long time to get there. It's a full commitment of probably at least 4-hour ride to go there, do the things you want to do, and then come back. So I'm not sure if I'll do it again. One day, maybe not this year. I don't know. Maybe not this year. All right. So here on New Wilkie Road, I've got to make a left turn here, and this is where I think I will go up on the sidewalk once I get to a certain point. Because I think it's safer. I typically have been taking the street, but I tried the sidewalk once before and I said, it works. It brings me where I needed to go, and it will keep me safer, so I think I'm going to do that. So here, I'll take the street. And I'll go up this driveway over here and take the sidewalk. Now, the problem with taking some of these things is some of the branches from trees are kind of low hanging. Now, you didn't get to see it on the video that I couldn't upload because of the problems, but I got hit in the face by a branch. Yeah, I was ducking. I didn't. Typically in that area there is no low hanging branch, but somehow, all of a sudden, that area had a low hanging branch. I wasn't expecting it because I've gone past there so many times. So yeah, it hit the front of my bike. Actually hit my cell phone holder, then kind of came up and then hit me in the face. The only thing I kept thinking was, that's like the Three Stooges. Where one guy goes past holds the branch for himself, and he lets go and he hits the other guy in the face. Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like too. It kind of hurt. Now, where this Burger King is in front of us, you see there's a control box for the traffic lights. That angle is very hard for me to turn. You'll see when we get up there. So I'm debating whether I go back on the street and come back up again, but maybe not. All right, so here's how we're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to go kind of slow here because it's kind of a tough turn. You see that? That's just a tough turn. Okay, so now this guy is kind of eating up the space here, so I can't get through. So we'll just wait a little bit. Wasn't a big deal. But I did have to get off the bike. You know, if I stop, I have to get off the bike. It's not even an option. Because my feet do not reach the ground when I'm sitting on the seat. Which is really how your bike should be adjusted for, by the way. If you want good pedal extension, or extension for the pedals, I should say, that would mean you've got the best pedaling ability, but your feet's never going to touch the ground when you're sitting. So you have to jump off the bike or lean the bike quite a bit to continue sitting and being able to put one foot down. That's actually more dangerous than just hopping off the bike. That's where that standover height is kind of important. The standover height is too high and you're hitting areas you shouldn't be hitting. Okay, I got a duck. Then the bike's too big for you. So you can see here, going on the sidewalk is actually easy enough to do, but you got to watch out for people turning and things like that. Like this lady's not watching here. She's just blasting through. She should have kind of waited for me, but these are the things that you have to be aware of as potential hazards, because no matter who's right or wrong, you're gonna lose. Alright, so we're gonna go over on this side, cross to the crosswalk, and there's people across the way. I think he has an e-bike too. I think I see a battery pack. So where they are is where I'm going. Oh, they both do. Yeah, those are both e-bikes. Alright, so I appreciate you guys following along up to this point. Stay tuned for the next episode where we're actually going to be at Bussy Woods. I'm going to turn our camera off, let it cool down, then I can turn it back on later. Hey, if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and definitely put a comment. Let me know if you feel that the image quality from the video looks good enough for us. Talk to you guys next time.